In this review of the week's news, we remember 100 years on from the start of World War I. A vandal gets named and shamed, and rebuild workers are being taught to work safe. This is CTV News Week in Review. I'm Grant Mangan. Almost 4 years on from the September earthquake, the Waimakariri district is thinking about its future and what will become of Kaiapoi's red zone.
The future of Kaiapoi red zones is in the hands of the public. This visionarium allows people from the community to share their ideas for its future. The interactive displays give the public a chance to learn about what's happening in their backyard by overseeing a satellite view of the area, to this interactive display and even photo and video booth.
I think it's marvellous. I've never seen it from the air before. It's lovely, you know, so you can't tell what it's like walking around, but when you see it like this, it's really good.
It's part of the Canterbury Earthquake Recovery Authority's Canvas campaign, developed to hear the public's view on what should become of Kaiapoi's red zones. There's no age limit here.
A forest-themed go-kart track. No.
These students from Kaiapoi North School weighing in on its future.
And what do you guys want to see in the red zone?
I would like to see like a track for bikers or like an adventure playground where you can just go and do stuff.
Almost 4 years since the September earthquake devastated many Kaiapoi properties. David Ayres, the Waimakariri District Mayor, is pleased to see progress.
What has been a long time coming, it hasn't removed our impatience, I guess, but it's great to have it underway now.
The Waimakariri District has five separate red zones in the area.
The biggest area is this northeast Kaiapoi area, and some of the fringe areas have suffered some flooding partly because they've dropped as a result of the earthquake.
Which means the plans for what will happen in each red zone will differ from one another.
You know, Kairaki and Pines Beach are two sort of beachfront rural communities, and you know they have different characteristics to Kaiapoi and different characteristics to Christchurch.
Of the 1,048 red zone homes, 36 decided against accepting the Crown's offer, over half of those still living within the Kairaki red zone.
It presents different issues for different parts of our area, and we'll certainly work with those people as neighbours.
The visionarium will be in Kaiapoi for the next few weeks, with the Canvas campaign ending in mid-September. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
This week, New Zealand commemorated the 100-year anniversary of the start of World War I.
A gathering of former soldiers to remember.
We're not here to celebrate war, that's not what it's all about. We're here to commemorate the sacrifice that gave us this country we have today and the freedoms that we experience.
While most of the Commonwealth paused to remember the fallen on Monday, the 100-year anniversary of New Zealand joining World War I wasn't until yesterday afternoon.
Britain declared war with Germany on the 4th of August, and I understand it took 12 hours for that notice to come to New Zealand. It was received by the Governor, Lord Liverpool, at 1 p.m. on the 5th of August at Parliament, and at 3 p.m. New Zealand was responding with a declaration by the Governor at the steps of Parliament to about 15,000 New Zealanders.
100 years later in Christchurch, underneath the shadow of the Bridge of Remembrance, the bridge that thousands of soldiers marched across on their way to war, a small group of former soldiers shared a moment of silence.
From an RSA point of view and from a veteran's point of view, it's hugely important, but we're heartened to see the response from the community, particularly in Wellington yesterday and again here in Christchurch today. While it's not big numbers, it shows that people care and people are committed to the freedom that those guys gave us.
Speeches were made from the Mayor and veterans before wreaths were placed underneath a statue of Sergeant Henry Nicholas VC.
This is about New Zealand's involvement, and as one of them said, you know, about our nationhood, and that's what we do commemorate. We commemorate that sense of nationhood that was built in the trenches of Europe.
Various other commemorations are planned over the next few years.
Another 4 years through until Armistice Day 2018, where we'll go through commemorating the various events when New Zealand got honours in the First World War.
Veterans will first gather in Littleton on the 24th of October.
Which was the date that the Canterbury Mounted Rifles and the Canterbury Regiment embarked on the troop ships from Littleton to join the New Zealand Echelon Force.
The next big commemoration will be Anzac Day next year.
Next year, of course, is important to us because it's the centenary of the Gallipoli campaign. Huge loss of life for New Zealanders, not the biggest loss of life during World War I, but certainly the first one, and the baptism of fire for us.
The Christchurch RSA will also mark its centenary in December next year. It was the first RSA set up in the country, with hundreds of others following its lead around New Zealand. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
The government has announced who will be developing the convention centre.
Who will design and build the $284 million convention centre has been revealed. Prime Minister John Key has announced plenary conventions, Ngāi Tahu Property and Carter Group as the preferred developers, with Accor as the preferred operator.
This is a big vote of confidence in the future of Christchurch by some major domestic and international companies.
The plenary group are public infrastructure experts, delivering $14 billion worth of projects in Australia where they were first established.
We came together as a consortium with Carter Group and Ngāi Tahu Property to combine the very best local knowledge and experience Christchurch has to offer with our international design and delivery expertise in large infrastructure projects.
The convention centre will be built between Victoria and Cathedral Square, with construction expected to begin in 2015. The centre will include a 2,000-seat conference facility at its heart, a hotel, residential, hospitality and also retail capacity.
The Convention Centre precinct is probably the key anchor project in terms of the impact it will have on how the CBD looks and feels, not to mention the people it will bring into the city.
The Prime Minister believes convention visitors spend more than other visitors and return to holiday with their families.
Christchurch is the gateway to the South Island, and we know New Zealand has missed out on considerable convention and conference business over the years through lack of capacity.
The convention centre is expected to be opened by 2017. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
Coming up, rebuild workers are being taught to work safe.
Hi, I'm Mark and welcome to Stay Well Pharmacy. Whatever the season, Stay Well Pharmacy has you covered. As an integrated pharmacy, we stock all the well-known pharmacy medicines, as well as quality nutritional and herbal treatments. Our team of pharmacists and full-time naturopath are here to help you find the products and advice to suit the needs of you and your family. So come in and see us at Stay Well Pharmacy, 27 Shands Road in Hornby. Stay Well Pharmacy, live well, stay well.
Spectacular rugby being played in the Press Cup 2014. Get your copy. DVDs available. Call right now, $29.95.
Yuck, look at all this moss and lichen. I'm not getting up there, not in these heels. Time to call Mossbuster.
Mossbuster is a no-bleach, non-abrasive, biodegradable solution that has over 35 years of proven results. You can buy Mossbuster online for less than half the cost of other well-known products and can be yours for less than $1 a litre. You just spray it on and let Mother Nature do the rest, or Mossbuster can do it for you. Check out our website or call the Mossbuster crew for a free quote. Mossbuster, 0800 88 1000.
Arts 21 showcases the vast creative talent and minds that are making a name for themselves in Europe and beyond. Think outside the square with Arts 21.
After years of living out of boxes, Dot Boyd is finally getting a new home. Before moving out, someone special paid her a visit.
After 3 years of waiting, Dot Boyd finally has something to look forward to.
It's basically a new house, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Brand new house.
Leader of the Labour Party, David Cunliffe, paid the 85-year-old a visit at her Aranui home after campaigning for EQC to settle her claim at the start of this year.
She really shouldn't have had to wait 3 years until a bunch of MPs came through to get some action out of EQC.
This will be the last time they see each other in this home. Dot's moving out while her house gets rebuilt.
I was always in the mind of that I was going to get a rebuild, but nobody ever said anything to me. They just kept on saying, oh no, you're a repair.
living in the same house her husband built 64 years ago. Dot's been living out of boxes for 3 years, waiting for answers on her badly damaged earthquake home. Even the vase for these flowers is packed away.
Well, EQC very, very bad. That was the insurance. A walk in the park. It's been just wonderful to deal with people who have got feelings and, you know, things like that.
The colours of the carpet and paint are picked out and ready to go.
Oh, that's the outside colour of my linear to match up with the brick.
Dot's close to speechless at the thought of her new home.
It'll be lovely. I can't believe it.
Christchurch East MP Poto Williams has been pushing for Dot's claims to be settled, but no action was taken until Mr Cunliffe met with Dot himself in March.
You know, it shouldn't have taken for the level of intervention by us to actually move it along. Dot's an elderly woman and she really needed to have her work done a lot sooner.
Poto Williams believes there are many out there in the same situation.
And there are many, many other people who have sought our help to actually resolve their EQC and insurance issues. We're really adamant, you know, we're heading out of the fourth winter. We've still got elderly people in broken homes. This should not be the case.
If elected into government this year, David Cunliffe believes the whip needs to be cracked to settle EQC's remaining claims.
Well, there's been a large volume of claims, and I'm not saying it can all be perfect overnight, but I do believe we need to get in and give it a real shunt along.
Introducing a new division of the Canterbury Court specifically for Canterbury earthquake claims.
And we're going to be upgrading that by bringing in retired judges and senior lawyers to increase the processing speed about 10 times.
Until then, Dot will be hosting a housewarming party once she moves in February. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
The owner of a Thai takeout in Christchurch Central turned to social media to find the vandal who broke into his business before naming and shaming him on Facebook.
After being named and shamed on Facebook for vandalising a takeaway joint, the man seen here breaking off a camera at Thai Container failed to turn up to court today. After causing $2,000 of damage to Thai Container, a social media hunt identified the alleged vandal earlier this week, and he was charged with burglary. The 20-year-old man was then released on bail. Today he was supposed to appear in court, but after talking to a duty lawyer, he disappeared before his case was called in front of a judge. The court registrar has since issued an arrest warrant. The acting detective senior sergeant leading the case is disappointed the man did not see his day in court.
It merely aggravates his situation. There's a warrant for his arrest, and the sooner he fronts up and makes himself accountable, the sooner the better for him. The police will actively seek him and bring him back before the courts.
The case has turned out to be one of the more interesting ones police have recently worked on.
Well, just the phenomenon of the Facebook angle and the public interest arousal and how they've rallied around. So it certainly is interesting, and it's a good trend that the community are helping out like this.
Because the restaurant owner posted footage online naming the alleged vandal in the process, as well as publishing his address, occupation and a link to his Facebook, police say in an ironic twist, the accused could potentially take the owner to court.
So the accused may wish to seek those avenues through a civil court, and that's something he'll need to discuss with a lawyer and do it that way.
The owner of Thai Container has told CTV News he'd like to see the accused have his day in court. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
With so much construction happening in the city, it's unsurprising Christchurch rebuild workers have the highest number of injuries in the country. A health and safety seminar is focusing on cutting down high levels of rebuild worker fatigue.
Thousands of construction workers have moved to Christchurch, and companies are working around the clock to fix homes, bring up buildings and get the city back on its feet. Today, more than 200 employees of construction companies and industry leaders came together to discuss worker fatigue. It's the #1 issue affecting the rebuild at the moment. The fear is tired workers could cause more harm than good when working on construction sites.
Well, it's because construction is a risky industry really, and there's lots of activities that are undertaken are taken in construction that lend themselves to being affected by fatigue when you're impaired.
Overseas research has shown fatigue is a major contributor to accidents. Already Christchurch has recorded the highest amount of construction-related injuries than anywhere else in the country. No one wants things to get any worse.
There's a lot of pressure in the rebuild at the moment, so there's a lot of expectation on timeframes. There's a lot of new workers in the rebuild. So we know that under those conditions of work pressure and workload, that fatigue's likely to be an issue.
Last year, WorkSafe New Zealand recorded 137 serious construction injuries in Christchurch. Another 24 serious injuries happened in wider Canterbury. Together, that's 27% of the country's serious injuries.
You need a very good decision making, you need to have really good hand-eye coordination, balance, situational awareness, all of those sorts of things. So the very nature of the work in construction means that if you are fatigued, you are likely to be impaired and you're at much greater risk of having some kind of incident or being injured.
WorkSafe New Zealand says employers should be developing a fatigue management policy to help keep worksites safe. It's up to employers and employees to make sure fatigue isn't affecting the workplace.
The employer has a primary obligation, of course, and their obligation is to ensure that workers are given enough time in between their work schedules to actually get enough rest. But employees have an obligation as well to make sure that they use that time off work to be well rested and to sleep.
Despite more than 161 serious injuries occurring on a Canterbury worksite last year, we're still doing better than across the ditch.
The residential building industry here is performing better than Australia, so that's very edifying.
The next forum will be focused on keeping worksites drug and alcohol free, another important issue to focus on during the Canterbury rebuild. Right now, WorkSafe New Zealand does not need to be told if an employer discovers an employee is under the influence on a worksite. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
Still to come, we visit the People's Republic of New Brighton.
My son's helped me greatly with my independence now that I've got more mobility.
Mum, I've been looking into stand assist chairs from More Mobility. They recline back with a footrest, then when you want to get out of them, they stand you up. You can even sleep on them. More Mobility can bring one out for a free trial. There's even electric beds too. What do you think? For more range and more expert advice, see More Mobility, corner Clarence and Princess Streets off Blenheim Road.
What a difference More Mobility makes.
Welcome to Caltex Redwood. We're a family-owned business proudly supporting our local community. We're open 24/7 for fuel and shop goods, and we have an amazing team of people ready to help you. Save at least 6 cents per litre using AA Smart Fuel cards. We also offer great value on our LPG bottle fills. We have a full workshop and Bridgestone Tyre Centre. Our mechanics and tyre technicians will get your car sorted. Caltex Redwood. We're just down from St Bede's on Main North Road. Caltex Redwood. What drives you?
Come on down to Ferrymead Golf. Care for a game of paintball? How about some swings on the old driving range? Or on our par 3 9-hole golf course? Test your skills on the mini golf course or have a go at the airgun shooting range. Then relax at the Wow Cafe with one of our super succulent Wow Burgers. Whether you want to perfect your swing or are looking for a fun family day out, come down to Ferrymead Golf, 50 Ferrymead Park Drive, right next to the Ferrymead Heritage Park.
Meet the latest arrivals at Berlin's 2 animal parks and find out what it takes to be a zoo baby in a modern zoo. Zoo Juniors. Wednesday nights at 8 p.m, right here on CTV.
New Brighton residents are so fed up with the lack of investment from local and central government, they've started their own republic. The independent People's Republic of New Brighton held their first sitting of their new parliament this week.
It's a bold plan to transform New Brighton. A small group of passionate locals have formed the People's Independent Republic of New Brighton, and they're hoping their vision will catch on.
We've got 16,500 residents in New Brighton. If every single one of them made one little incremental change, you change the world.
Today the group met at the New Brighton Pier and made history as the People's Parliament sat for the first time.
Well, you've got to start somewhere, and there's been this groundswell in New Brighton of locals really wanting to make things happen.
The Republic of New Brighton was never intended to become a revolution, but that's what's starting to happen here.
It was intended as a joke, you know, it's something where it was intended to have that satire base to it. The frustration's just overboiled at the moment, so to give people somewhere to vent, but in a positive manner, was what the intention was for it. I didn't quite realise it was going to go to this extent.
National and local media have caught on to the idea, and what started as a joke has become something much more serious.
But it's really turned people's heads around, you know, and it's gotten a different way of thinking in place. What solutions can a local community provide for an area that it feels so passionate about? Instead of waiting for other people to come and sort our issues out for us, it's taking that and leading the charge ourselves.
It's about finding a way that locals can get involved and participate and feel like they can make a difference in their own community.
The Facebook page only has around 640 members, but the Republic is planning to grow. If it does, the results could prove exciting and powerful. The group has several projects in mind, like wind turbines, to harness the suburb's famous wind power. But it can't do anything without some form of capital. Introducing the voluntary Republic of New Brighton tax. With 16,500 residents, this could be the way to raise the funds to build new projects.
There are 1,500 of them, just 1,500, 1,500 people put in $5 a week each. That's $7,500 every single week to be spent locally. There's your security issues, your maintenance issues, your toilet upgrades. These can be addressed locally.
It could be how this neglected suburb gets the fresh lick of paint it so desperately needs.
We can't keep going back and asking and begging for more, not when we've got the ability to change it ourselves as well.
The pier itself is a great example of what the people living in the suburb can do. In 1964, the original pier was demolished and fundraising started to build another. The community raised $2 million and the City Council matched it. The result is this 300-metre-long pier that's become a tourist attraction and the site for the People's Parliament to meet today. The People's Parliament is a citizens' forum, open to anyone. It will meet for its second time next month. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
12-week programs are being rolled out in Canterbury for the first time, aiming to aid drivers through the trials and tribulations of getting their restricted licences. Emma Cropper went out with the team as they took their first candidate through the course.
One step closer to being independent on the roads. Cody Mitchell's taking to the driver's seat in the hopes of earning his restricted licence.
Quite happy there. Your rear view mirror. You know where your indicators are. Everything's there. Cool.
But this isn't your typical driving lesson. The first of many, 18-year-old Cody is part of the New Zealand Transport Agency's Mentor program, the first of its kind in the South Island.
Now we're heading up this way, we've changed direction. Let's have a look and see what's around us. So we're checking our mirrors, what's behind.
Mentors guide the learner drivers through 12 weeks of driving lessons. Their first time behind the wheel, an initial test with the AA.
Turn around and have a good look through that blind spot.
They test driving skills for an hour on Christchurch roads, assessing where they need to be more confident before sitting the test and hitting the roads in a car by themselves.
Lane choice, again, changing and merging blind spots. Get into that habit. Must do, must do. Indicating 3 seconds, and then before you're moving, checking your blind spot.
Cody's had his learner licence for 2 years. Failing it once before, he's racked up fines for breaching the terms of his learner licence. But how did he go this time?
Cody went well in his driving test, but there's a few buts there with some issues that he's got, which he just needs to brush up those skills on, and probably his main thing is he's got to think with.
So a few things to work on there, Cody, but how did you think the test went?
It was pretty good. Just need to brush up on a little bit of skills and just keep practicing to get better at it.
The NZTA are hoping to make roads safer, reducing the amount of crashes learner drivers are involved in on local roads.
It's the finer details that they're missing out on. They've been perhaps driving under the radar for quite some time, so doing it the way they think is best. They just need to get those skills and get them sorted so they can put them into practice.
Cody has 12 weeks to brush up on these skills before he's ready to sit his restricted licence. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
The World Press Photography exhibit is in town for the first time. Emma Cropper was at the opening.
Capturing some of the world's most powerful events, the World Press Photo Exhibit has come to Christchurch for the first time.
Finding a venue was incredibly challenging. Once the university sort of put their hand up and said we may have a space for you, we then started to work really hard to get it here.
The travelling exhibition is viewed by more than 1 million people from across 40 countries. This shot, taken by American photographer John Stanmeyer, won the top prize, capturing the moment African migrants were on the shore of Djibouti, trying to catch a cell phone signal from the neighbouring country.
This image is much more than you would foresee, so it's about migration, but it's also about globalization, about technology, and about connectivity, about staying in touch with the people you love, and that's what makes it universal. So it's actually a picture that talks about all of us.
Winning first prize in general news is this collection of images taken when Typhoon Haiyan ripped through the Philippines. The deadliest typhoon on record, it killed more than 6,000 people in its path. Event manager Terry Van Schuten believes the images of natural disasters will be something locals can relate to.
I think people in Christchurch understand the power of imagery and media. So, as they say, a picture tells 1,000, says 1,000 words, and I think that's really, really obvious to the people of Christchurch that that's been the case for them.
The photos capture where the photographers have witnessed some major events. These rebel fighters of the Free Syrian Army attacking a government checkpoint in Damascus. Others taken at homes. Sarah Lakowicz documented domestic violence. Maggie's partner violently attacking her after returning home from the pub, giving her the option of a beating in the kitchen or a private talk in the basement. The exhibit is being held at the University of Canterbury before travelling north to Wellington and Auckland. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
That's CTV News Week in Review. I'm Grant Mangan. Have a great weekend.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.